It always blows my mind because you guys have such a work history of like how far you've brought this company in such a short period of time that it feels like it's been
nuts.
like you've been at it for like 20 years.
Right.
So when you guys are like, yeah, when I met so-and-so in 2019, I'm like, bro, that was like yesterday.
I know.
Like, that
was right before COVID.
Yeah, and we lost a year to COVID. See you, kiddos. We're here on Brian Hess's birthday, actually recording a very special episode of the Talking Lots.
Yeah.
His kids were here visiting. We're all hopped up on cake, a lot of sugar. But thank you guys for coming on. This is amazing. So we're in the new studio. Looks like a Merv Griffin type backdrop. You guys don't know who he is.
What's Merv Griffin?
He didn't know anything about water being Merv Griffin. No, he had one of the first talk shows way back when. The set didn't look like this, but you guys Seinfeld fans at all?
I love Seinfeld.
So that's the set that Kramer sets up in his apartment. Do you remember the talk show set? And everybody would come over, you interview him. Yeah. That was great. That was Merv Griffin. So
honest to God, Todd did not know that.
Yeah,
seriously.
I just
a little
thought
bit
it
of
was
Seinfeld
just like,
trivia.
But he bought the official set on the show, right? Like
he
was
did,
all
or he got
geeked
it out of like a dumpster or something.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
dude, I like Seinfeld was always on in my house growing up, just on TV.
Sure,
but I had never watched an episode until recently. Maybe a month ago, I sat down and watched it like start to finish.
Wow. What'd you think? Does it hold up?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm like someone who's watched The Office 30 times on repeat. So I was like, I got to mix this up and, go Seinfeld. Like I felt like I was missing a little bit of culture, not having all the references. So it was great. I'm a big fan.
Oh, good.
Who do you think, Todd, like whose jokes in comedy has held up over the years the most?
That's a great question. Yeah. Well, I would say Seinfeld's kind of timeless because he just sort of talked about things that are still relevant now.
Right.
He wasn't super of the time. He wasn't super contemporary as a comic. I think we were talking before the show started, but Richard Pryor.
100%.
I think everybody can get Richard Pryor's humor. George Carlin's like come back around because we're living in such a crazy political world again. So much of what he was talking about in the 70s and 80s is like very relevant right now. So modern day, I think a guy like a Louis C.K., I think his comedy will hold up. I think Dave Chappelle's comedy will hold up the test of time. Well, just because they're talking about things, right? And
you just went to see Chappelle, right?
Yeah. So did that guy back there.
Yeah. He was unbelievable, huh?
Oh, great, man. Great. Dave Chappelle literally had me almost about to pee myself.
No kidding.
Oh, my goodness. He was hilarious. And then the guys before him were even funnier. Dude turned on Taylor Swift, walked up to a white girl. He said, "Sing it." She ain't know the words. He's like, "What kind of white girl are you?" It was a great time, man. It was a great time.
I saw Chappelle in a 2,000 seat, maybe even 1,500. It was small outdoor like theater in the Round down on Cape Cod.
Oh, man.
Probably 18 years ago. Wow. He was just getting going. Not a lot of people. I'm a comedy nerd, so I knew who he was. I was excited to see him. I don't even think he sold that out. He destroyed. At that time, he was already like on another level from almost anybody working.
Was this
and then he's had
pre or
18
post?
years. This is before his show.
Before the show.
Yeah, before the Chappelle show. Yeah, oh God, it was so freaking good. But he just can command a room, He's like, when he's quiet, you're almost like, come on,
like,
give me
something.
Give it, yeah, you're like hanging on every bit of silence. So he's incredible.
Who do you think is coming up right now, Todd, in your personal opinion?
Well, again, they were kind of the young guns. Like I like the New York comedy scene, the club comics. So you got guys like Sam Morril, Joe List, Mark Norman that are all coming out of there. Shane Gillis, and they're like you'll hear them on Rogan and stuff now, which to me means they've probably made it. They're selling out clubs for the weekends and that sort of thing. Yeah, Shane he's a beast. But I love those guys.
Yeah.
And so I think they're like kind of taking the mantle now. I don't know as much on Taylor Tomlinson's pretty good. She's young. I don't know. I got to think about that. Who else is coming up there that you might not know?
Selling out crazy.
Yeah, Matt Rife,
right
a rock star.
I think he's probably going to be the future for a little bit.
I think my wife and her girlfriends, so they're all turning 50 this summer, and they all try to get tickets. She didn't even tell me.
Yeah.
She mentioned it last night. She's like, "Oh, Matt Rife is." I'm like, "How do you know who Matt Rife is?" She's like, "Oh, me and my girlfriends were out to dinner and talking about going to his show. That's who he is." Like
his clips just. I'm a big comedy fan too, so like I feel like most of my algorithm is just showing clips of my favorite comedians. But his clips started circulating on my page about maybe a little bit less than a year ago, and I was like, "Who is this dude?" Because his crowd work is crazy.
Yeah,
like it's so good. And then slowly, I just more and more I would like his videos. They just kept feeding, and I'm like, how much stand-up is this guy doing?
Right.
Because it's like every day he was on a new, stage doing
I've
stand-up.
noticed the exact same thing.
It was pretty crazy.
And it seems like most of his act is like crowd work, where he's interacting and.
I like those type of comedians though.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
mean-
got to be quick, right?
Yeah.
To be able to handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you never want to be the person who stands up in the middle of a comedy show because, like, at that point, you're literally making yourself a target.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a moving target at that point, bro. And I've only ever had that happen to me one time, ever.
Who?
Oh,
do
it
you remember who
happened
got
to
you?
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it?
Aries Spears caught
Sure.
me.
Yeah.
Got me.
Where were you?
We was at the Improv right down here in Pittsburgh. And he was talking to an Arab guy, making fun of him, whatever. And I stood up, not paying attention. And he was like, you keep talking stuff, that black guy behind you is going to steal your wife. And then they put the spotlight directly on me. And I was like,
Oh man.
I was like, sir, I don't want your wife. I don't want anything to do with that. But she's very beautiful. You enjoy your night.
I don't know how I got brought into this, but now I'm involved.
I'm involved in a situation that's not an entanglement. I
Right,
promise
not
you.
an
This is not a
entanglement.
situationship. We're good.
At all. Well, Trey, Vinny and I have a shared experience at the Comedy Store. It's wild that this came up. We were talking
yeah.
last week. Chris D'Elia, I think
Okay.
that's how you say his name. So he was a really, he was a comic that was on TV. His career was flying. He got cut down a little bit, I think, sort of a Me Too type of deal. He's back now, but we both saw him. We're thinking within like a week or two of each other.
Wow.
In 2013.
In LA.
In LA. Randomly, in the same room at the Comedy Store, which is a legendary place.
Crazy.
Wow.
Because he was blowing up on Vine at the time.
Vine
Yeah.
before TikTok.
Yeah, and I remember like I saw a bunch of his skits on Vine, and I was out in LA just visiting my cousin who lived out there, like right on the main strip, and he was like, "We could just go down and check out some comedy." We went and saw the name up there. I was like, "Chris D'Elia." I was like, "I think I'll follow him on Vine."
Right.
Went in his stand up. That set he did, I forget. It was like before he did his first Netflix special, so he was like building up to that, and. I mean, we talked. We were like, bro, we saw the same set because we like the room was on fire. Like he had
Everybody.
the room was just
Incredible. It was the funniest
Yeah.
5 minutes I've ever seen in my, and I've seen a lot of comedy live.
yeah.
Funniest 5 minutes. I almost had, and Vinny said the same thing. I almost had a walkout because I thought I was going to pee myself. Like,
Wow.
he just destroyed. It
Oh,
was
I showed
crazy.
you him the other day. Remember I showed you that ad him and his brother did when they were like for $5.99. That's Chris D'Elia.
Yo, he's actually funny. He's like a
Yeah.
dorky. He
Yeah.
always makes that like that voice. Like,
Yeah.
I'll show you the
That's
video.
it.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
He's a good
Well,
dude. No, he's a good
That's
one.
great. So what's happening with you guys? What's new? Thank you for coming on the podcast. We never even did an intro. We just kind of rolled right in, which is the most fun way to do it. But,
Always.
Kind of how we do it.
you got the Athletic Aesthetic podcast going, which is awesome. So fun. You're getting killer guests there too.
Thanks, man.
Well, how you doing it? Just connections? You're asking? Or
Yeah, I just-
selling the show?
I just fish Trey out there and
Yeah.
use him as bait.
You know.
and people come on.
People
and-
love Trey.
Yeah.
You know, and then they love Vinny. They're like, "Oh, you like the art?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we both like the art. Let's get on the show together.
Yeah.
You can meet the artists." And then he's like, "Come on, I'll give you something for free." That's
I,
how we
you know,
get
I started
everybody.
the show as Athletic Aesthetic, and then I slowly realized, like, as I stopped working out, it was more so just aesthetic. So I had to get some more
stopped working
athletic
out.
aspect to the
gotcha.
show.
You're like, we need some abs around here.
I was like, people are like looking at this show. It's called Athletic Aesthetic. This
Oh,
boy-
man. Oh, that's great.
That boy look like he eat Papa John's all day. Is what they saying. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Man.
Chill, bro.
Dude, I get out here to Pittsburgh, by the way, the Pittsburgh office, the HQ, beautiful office here. And
Yeah,
every time I'm
welcome to
here,
the
there's
Bird.
so much friggin' food in that lunchroom.
All the time.
I do. I was just saying, when I started here, I was like 165, and that was 6 months ago. No. Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, Jackie just feeds everybody so well.
Oh, Mama Jack.
Bubba Jack, she's the best.
The best.
She is the best. So Trey, how is things? You came on the podcast with us and Talking Lots a couple months ago, and you were kind of just getting going with a lot of the community outreach stuff,
Right.
and you shared your story with us. How have things evolved for you here? Like, what's happening in your world?
As of right now, man, I've hit my goal in terms of how much we were trying to give away, like in the first 3 months.
That's incredible.
So like I had to slow down, right? And they were
Okay.
just like, "Okay, bro, like you did too much already. Like we're gonna just give you a different job." So
Yeah.
like, so like,
Did you start calling people and telling them we're not giving them money?
Like,
You're
yeah,
like, hey,
just
no,
like-
shut off.
like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. Like the payment's not coming, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Something happens with the check-ins and the savings. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's been great, man. Being able to work alongside some incredible people. We got someone that we're trying to marry onto our team right now, but he's just being stubborn. I don't want to mention any names, but he's more than likely the guy behind the camera.
Right.
We're not going to talk about it, though.
We won't stare at him.
He called him a professional.
Awkwardly.
Let's not go there. But I will say everything is incredible, man. We have some great people. We got a new guy coming in. My man Logan, a.k.a. Swingman, bro. He's a great guy. He's been able to help us out a lot. And then on top of that, man, we're shooting in different directions. You know what I'm saying? Like, the one thing about the Pavement group that is like really crazy that I never really expected, it's not just about pavement.
Right.
You understand? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
100%.
not just about.
We do concrete too.
We do concrete.
We do concrete.
Well. No, I've been doing this for 20 years. Like, I've been in the asphalt world for 20 years, and this is vastly different than what I was doing in 2005.
See, that's what I wanted to ask you, Todd, because I heard that you had been in the industry for a while, man, and I wanted to know, like, how much different is being here in the technology space, right? In terms of pavement, instead of being boots to the ground type deal.
It's much different. I mean, I've always been on the sales side of things. And the company that I spent a good chunk of my time with, self-performing company up in New England, I was there for like 13 or 14 years. We were pretty forward, pretty leading edge with marketing and sales and the way we built it out. We took the company from, I think like 20 employees to about 120 employees in a short amount of time. So that was fun. It was a cool ride. But we didn't have any of the technology that's in place now. So, and I was kind of looking for that in my next part of the journey, my next step. And when I met Brian in 2008, or we started talking back in 2018, 2019, he shared with me his vision for the industry. I'm like, that's it. That's like what has been needed forever. And then he put together a team that was able to execute it. So it's way different. I mean, I'm not going to say nothing in the field has changed, but asphalt is the same thing it was in 1950. The equipment has gotten better, but the same idea of a spreader box and, your rollers and that sort of thing, dump trucks, they've become better pieces of equipment, but the overall idea of how you do it hasn't really changed. So it's a technology piece, right? And how you take it to market, and then how you sell the product, and then how you deliver the project management, and then the assessment piece that we're going to be talking a lot about here in the next couple of weeks, our new piece of software, which I am so pumped about. It's cool. It's fun. It's way different in that respect for sure.
How did you and Brian meet?
Well, we were both part of something called the Pavement Network. So he was working, I forget which company he was with. So this was like 20 or 25 companies that were, we had a connection. We'd meet once or twice a year. Our sales teams would, so kind of like top contractor school, but it was rudderless. It was this whole thing. And Brian and I met out in Vegas. He was with one company. I was with the company I was talking about. We were both in the sales class, I guess it was, for that day, and it wasn't really going anywhere. And we just got talking and realized we were really kind of like-minded. And then we was out in Las Vegas, and we sat at the casino and had a beer afterwards for a while. And he was just telling me, because this was probably 2015, maybe 2016. So he was new into the industry. He was telling me all the things like, hey, we should try to do this, and they really need to do that. I'm like, yeah, that'd be phenomenal. And because we were spending like 2 days with, great people, great companies, the owners of these companies, but they weren't sharing. They weren't forward thinking. A lot of them were later on in their careers, so they really weren't looking to have a 10-year plan. Right? There was like a 2 or 3 year, let's get through this type of deal. And he just thought different. And I was kind of at a place in my life where I really wanted, to think different.
Right.
To take that opportunity. So we met then, stayed in touch. I exited my company in 2017. A lot happened. I've told the story in podcasts and stuff, but the founder, who was my best friend, passed away. He got ALS.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, we were on a real trajectory like we are here.
Man.
And then he got sick in 2015, died in 2016.
That's terrible.
A bunch of us bought the company. It wasn't good. It was an arranged marriage, really, the four of us. It just didn't work out. So I got out of there 2017. I had a non-compete as part of my whole deal. So I was out of the industry for a little bit. But I stayed in touch with Brian because I knew I wanted to come back. And the company was awesome. There's still a lot of people over there. They're like family. So I didn't want to go against the non-compete or screw with that. Like I honored my commitment there. But we stayed in touch and reconnected when the time was right. And then I've had an opportunity to come here and do a lot of stuff in 3 years.
A lot.
Yeah.
When
a lot
you
of stuff.
guys tell this timeline of like the things that happened here, it always blows my mind because you guys have such a work history of like how far you've brought this company in such a short period of time
like,
that it feels like it's been
nuts.
like you've been at it for like 20 years.
Right.
So when you guys are like, yeah, when I met so-and-so in 2019, I'm like, bro, that was like yesterday.
I know.
Like, that was
right before COVID.
Yeah, and we lost a year to COVID, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the company still grew during that time, but we weren't able to do a lot of the stuff we wanted to do.
Right.
Because where COVID hit in March.
Right.
That's the beginning of the paving season. Everybody went on pause for 8 weeks. You couldn't do construction in certain states and all that stuff. So we had a lot of stuff that we held back. And then when 2021 came across, it was like, woo, get it out there.
Let's get it.
Yeah. So it's been a really fast pace since, but yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah, it's been cool. Vinnie, how has things changed for you? You've had the athletic aesthetic. You're an artist. I mean, you're an amazing artist, but that's who you are at heart. So you're here at a paving company. You're doing stuff with Trey. Like you're on the technical end of things for us. How's your outlook on the next 10 or 20 years of your life changed? As far as, I don't want to say outlook. That's not the right word.
That's a great
but
question.
meaning is it totally different than what you thought it was going to be a year ago, where you were going to end up?
Yes. So I felt like I had this vision, but it was like an abstract painting for my life where I knew at the end it was going to kind of make sense and I would get to where I'm trying to go, but I didn't know how I would get there. I mean, a lot of people probably can relate to that. Like you have a goal, but you don't.
What is a traditional path for an artist? There isn't one,
There
right?
isn't. Yeah, there what works for one artist doesn't. It's not like a business plan you could draft up where it's like, check these boxes, and this revenue will come in. Like, as an artist, you really gotta be lucky, and the only way that you get lucky, Brian says it a lot, is if you put in the work.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had to put my head down for a long time and just trust that vision that I felt God gave me about my life would come to pass. But I had to, there was a lot of stressful moments throughout that journey, and especially since 2020 was really when I started focusing on my art because, like I mentioned, I was working for a church in Charlotte, North Carolina, as a youth director there. And when the pandemic happened, me and my wife had a baby. It was like a couple months old. So we were like, we don't want to be locked down in Charlotte. Let's move back to Pittsburgh to slow the curve for a few weeks, and then we'll come back to Charlotte and pick up our life. Like everything was, And 1 month turned into 2 months. We're staying at my wife's parents' house. I love them, but that was
stressful with the
baby,
of course.
It was great because we had child care.
Yeah.
I hope not.
I wasn't paying child support.
Hope not.
That's a whole other episode. Hold on.
But yeah, so it was like we had to make a decision because I was paying rent in Charlotte. Wasn't sure if things were going to slow down with the pandemic. And so we decided to buy a house here in Pittsburgh in 2020 and hope that things would work out and we would just figure it out. And they actually moved my role to be more remote, and I was no longer the youth director, but I was the guy that was editing their Sunday service for their virtual experience through COVID. So I learned really fast how to edit video, how to stream it, do all that kind of stuff, which has really helped me now because I wouldn't have been able to launch the podcast. I wouldn't have been able to grow my own art business. So the church that I worked for there, the lead pastor, Naeem, was one of my best friends in Charlotte before I even knew he was a pastor. I loved, some of the artwork and things we were doing. There was a creative team, and I started volunteering on that, and that's how I got plugged in. But long story short, I'm kind of rambling here, but when I started focusing on my art, I had no idea how I'd get to where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things when Trey reached out where I was at a really pivotal moment in my career where I was thinking about getting another job. I was, I had very consistent work and a lot of it, but it's just as an artist sometimes, and having a family, I had a son on the way too at the time when you called me.
VC3.
So,
Shout out to VC3. That's
VC3,
my dog.
But
That's my homie.
yeah, it was just a lot of unknown.
Yeah.
And I just kind of kept leaning into what was working. What was working next? And then I met Brian, met Trey, and the vision that I had kind of started to fast track.
Okay.
And so then I was like, all right, I got to lean into this because the more I help them grow, the more they're helping me grow, the more and now I work here. We get to do really, really cool things on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I mean, my outlook on my life, to answer your question in a really long way, is that it's totally different.
That's cool. I remember the first day you came in, because Brian called me that night. And he's like, Trey brought this guy in that we're talking about painting a mural on the wall. He's like, but there's something there, man. Like, I feel like he should work here, and I don't really know why or where, but I just feel like you guys just hit it off, and he could see who you were, and that's what's fun about here. So we'll take chances. Not that it's taking a chance on people, but we're a paving company. We're like, of course we need an artist on staff, right? Most people don't think that way, but you're like, you get great people, and then you just keep they help grow the business, that sort of thing. So your faith is an important part of who you are. Has that always been that way? Like, did you grow up that way, or is that something you learned later in life, or that became important?
It was a part of my life, but like I grew up believing, but I never practiced the faith or whatever. I mean, I've started going to church after college, so like I never grew up going to church or anything. I just I saw the Bible, I knew the Bible, and I think that like I knew the basics of it.
Yeah.
And when my dad passed away in 2015, it really lit a fire in me to try to figure out like, all right, what's this whole life about? Like, let me find some answers here. Let me find some solid things I can stand on. And I felt like God really got me through that time in my life. And, he's been with me ever since. And so I always say he's a huge part of my life. And everything that I do is, I always go back to God, and I try to, see if opportunities align with what he's telling me. And yeah.
So were you the youth director when you were in Charlotte?
Yeah.
Was that a lot of teaching through the Bible, or was it?
Yeah.
It was, okay.
Yeah, I was.
So were you learning on the fly a little bit with it?
Bro.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, I stepped in, there was nobody to do the job, and I was basically like reading and learning and sharing what I learned that week with the kids.
Yeah.
It was like on the spot training. So, but I learned a lot, and I grew a lot, and I messed up a lot, and it showed me that, God's grace is more sufficient than anything that I could do. So I feel like it kind of gives me confidence even in this role where I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just going to keep leaning
You know what
into
you're doing. You're doing fine.
I'm saying, like, literally, like, I show up and I'm like, what are we doing today? Yeah. I'll figure it out.
Listen, I am the exact same way.
Yeah.
So I vibe with you completely. Perfect. I said to Eli, I'm like, can we cancel that meeting we had 5 minutes ago starting? Because we want to do a podcast. Like, let's just run it.
Yeah.
Let's just have some fun with it.
Yeah.
How about you, Trey? How are you able to practice your faith? I know that's a big part of who you are as well. Like, right now in your life.
I have to practice my faith, man. I read every day. I've been practicing reading literally a chapter. Literally every week is my goal, is to get through a full chapter. I want to get back into the book as deep as I possibly can.
Okay.
But my faith has always been there, man. I've lost a lot. I've literally lost a lot, right? And, there's not much to rely on, right? I feel like we all get pushed to a brink where we have no choice but to rely on God. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I've been in positions in my life consistently where I've had no choice and no one but God. So, like, I eventually came to the point where in my own adult life where now all I want to do is read the Bible. All I want to do is find out more information, right? So it's definitely been the biggest part of my life, and it's gotten me this far, to be honest with you. Because without God, I don't know if I'd even be here talking to you, and that's just me being real with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So everything that I've gotten up to this point has been all in the glory of God.
That's amazing. Well, thank you both for sharing that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So what's coming up in the pod? What can we expect in the AA?
We try and get some cool people to come on, man. I don't want to spoil anything, but all I'm saying is,
come on, give me one. Give me a nugget. Give me a little
power,
nugget.
Man.
You got some power coming?
Got some power, man. Listen.
We got some collegiate teammates of Trey's that we're really hoping.
That is the best way to put that.
There we go.
I like that, Vinny. Say it again.
Very cool.
Say it again.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to
Rhymes
spill
with
the whole
Lemony
deal.
Snicket.
Yeah.
Lemony Snicket.
No, it doesn't completely rhyme with that, but it's close enough. It's
Get
close
the
enough.
picture.
You get the picture. If you don't get the picture, well, then you're on your own. I don't know what to tell you.
We're working on this guy. Like we're like creating new, like if it was like a dating app, we're like creating new profiles and swiping right on him, just hoping that we
Just one chance.
we'll just get him in
just
here one
want
of these
one.
times.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
That
One
would be
date.
cool. That would be cool.
One date. That's all.
That
we're
would
asking.
get. What's the population of Pittsburgh? A couple million people.
No, it's like 300,000.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
With like,
Oh, wow.
right? Pittsburgh address.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, surrounding areas, you're probably close to 500,000, 600,000, but
Well, you'll have
Pittsburgh
500 or
had it.
600,000 viewers for
I'll
that
take that.
episode.
I ain't bitching. You know what I
It's,
mean? I'll take it.
I think this is the most loyal, and I'm from Boston, right? And I grew up, I'm a big Boston sports fan, and Boston's pretty loyal, but Pittsburgh, it's just different, man. It's like, there's just no question, and it seems like you guys are ride or die.
Oh, yeah,
Like you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
start to hate your teams when they're bad like we do in New York and in Boston.
No,
but
You don't hear the chatter.
all right, I guess I don't hear as much of the
Yeah.
chatter, but
See?
it feels like you get down with them, but you hang in there, right? Like
We
you're
do
ready
hang
to
in.
write the
Yeah.
Red Sox off if they don't win a World Series.
Yeah, I mean the Pirates still, have fans, and they have been struggling for about 20, 30 years now. So
Yeah.
I've never seen them do good as long as I've been born.
But they have that beautiful
They're doing
ballpark.
well
That
now,
means
though.
people have got to be going.
yeah,
Those things
this
aren't
year's
free.
the year, bro.
Listen, I'll tell you this
is the
about
year.
Pittsburgh fans. Every year for the Pirates, this year is our year.
It's the
Is it?
year.
This one they're like
this
in,
one's different.
what, second
This
place
one's
right
actually
now?
the
They're
year,
looking
though.
better.
Yeah,
And there's two right now in their section of the
Okay.
conference.
it's the year.
I made what I thought was a very funny joke in our meeting this morning because you guys were talking about the Pirates, taking a meeting with the
Yeah.
Pirates and the Steelers and with the Penguins. In a group, a room full was about 15 people from Pittsburgh
All
there.
Pittsburgh.
And I said, are we going to talk to any teams that are going to make the playoffs? Expecting a huge laugh,
Yeah.
and nobody even. I thought I was going to get beat up. I'm like, all right, I can't make Pittsburgh jokes
out.
anymore. Get out. Yeah.
He was like, what?
Someone threw a Mac Jones line at me, and then we just moved on to the next subject. I'm like, all right.
I ain't gonna lie, I was the guy in the background that went boo.
Yeah, you certainly were, but I earned it. I know better now, coming into enemy territory.
Yeah.
But well, I don't know if I told you this, Vinnie, but so growing up, the Patriots were awful, and I loved football. So we're talking, late 70s, early 80s. So it was the Cowboys and the Steelers,
Right.
and I became a huge Steelers fan.
Really?
Yeah, huge Steelers fan. Like so you used to get the Sears catalog for Christmas.
I got a lot of hope for you now, Ty.
Yeah, man, and they still got a place in my heart. Again, but I mean, it was kind of traitorous. Once Brady got into town, I started rooting for the Patriots again. But Sears and Roebuck used to have, you get the Christmas wish catalog. It was like this thick, and they had all these cool NFL jackets that had they had the emblem and then black and yellow leather sleeves, and you get gloves and a hat that went with them.
Yeah.
Steelers every year.
You could probably find that at our boy shop at Zed's.
No, for sure. My
I
boys-
bet you,
We'll
yeah.
have to take
Yeah,
you
very retro looking. But that was, yeah. It was funny, man. You go to school, nobody had Patriot stuff on. You'd have a Dolphins fan, you'd have a Cowboys fan.
Ain't nobody want to be a Patriots fan.
Nobody was a Patriots fan.
Who was
Yeah,
like
they were so terrible.
Main player during that era.
Well, Franco Harris.
No, I mean for
For the Patriots?
Patriots.
Oh, gosh. I mean,
They really didn't have nobody out
no,
there.
you had Steve Grogan, Jim Plunkett.
I know Jim Plunkett. I know that name.
Yeah, John Hanna, who was their, the Hall of Famer, who was an offensive lineman. It was hard to get excited about that in fifth grade.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, Todd.
Sure.
Was it Belichick who won all those Super Bowls or Tom Brady?
I don't mean to take the easy way out. I truly think it was a combination. I think you got two insane men right there in their own separate ways, and Brady hides it a little bit better than Belichick does. He could put the smile on where Belichick is, grouchy and angry. But I think those guys are both just so genius. And Brady, obviously, you study football, you coach football, you played at a high level. Like, he wasn't a tremendous athlete, but he just understood the game. And as they say, it slowed down for him, right? And part of that was, and I think Belichick saw that and then built the plan around him, I think Belichick was an amazing defensive coach, and I think he became a good offensive coach because of Brady. For whatever that says about it. I love them both. I really do. I get, because, that was a time. 20 years ripping off just great season after great season, watching him. Yeah, that was
I
special.
genuinely think if that era didn't exist in New England, the Steelers would have bare minimum 8 rings, 9
I agree.
Okay, so 2 or 3 more, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that they straight up ended our season at least 2 or 3 times in the playoffs, and
And those are some good teams, too.
yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I don't even get me started on.
I can't even lie to you. Every time we played Brady, I was like,
Bro, it started when I was in middle school with I'll never forget, and I had this what was he? Was he a history teacher or I forget what subject it was. It's funny. I don't remember anything the guy taught me, but I remember that he was a Patriots fan. It was
Okay.
the year that
It was so distracting.
Dion Branch toasted us in an AFC championship game.
Yeah.
And
Was it Deion Branch or was it Troy Brown with the punt return?
it was the same era, but
Okay.
I know that there was a specific playoff game. I think it was even still the Cordell era. I think this was
Okay.
like 2001. Like,
Yeah.
You don't get enough credit, first of all, because Cordell Stewart was Mike Vick before Mike Vick, and I don't care what nobody got to say.
He was Slash, right? They
Yeah.
call him Slash.
Slash, man.
Who did he play?
Move it.
Colorado?
Yeah,
he's a buff.
Yeah.
we coming. Shout out
Yeah.
to Deion Sanders.
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
That's gonna be
If
highly
he can
interesting.
still field the team by September, that's going to be interesting.
Hey, listen, man. He's in a position right now where if he does it right, everybody's gonna be like, he's a genius. If he does it wrong,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, I knew it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So regardless, it's like he's taking
I
a big
agree.
chance. You know what I mean?
I hope he succeeds. I love him.
Me too.
me
He
too.
was such a fun player to watch.
Me
Yeah.
too. You can tell his players kind of take up his personality a little bit. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I think that's the one thing I love about coaching more than anything. Your players become you in some type of way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And being
That's
able
interesting.
it's the truth. Like
So
you
if you look at NFL coaches, can you tell what teams aren't going to do well because
Immediately.
they're not gelling or taking on the
Immediately.
coaches? Okay.
you could tell based on how the coach's leadership
Yeah.
takes place. Like when Brian says leadership matters most, like it's a true thing. Because if
Yeah,
your
sure.
leader is terrible, then there's no way that you can advance on when it's really time to get to the nitty and gritty. Because you got to think in the NFL, they're playing 18 games now, 17 because they get one
17,
bye
yeah.
week. It's a lot of games, man. A lot of games.
Right.
And if you don't got the proper leadership, guys get tired. Guys start thinking about their families. I'm going home. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
You get to those days, bro, where it's like either you're still in or you're out. That's why I think Brian Flores. I think he's a great coach, right? Because he had an opportunity when he was at the Dolphins to go downhill after they lost so many games.
Yeah.
And then they climbed the rest of the year. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
when you notice a good coach. Or for example, Bill Belichick, right? Multiple times where they're like down and out, down and out, down and out, down and out. In the beginning years, now they just when they're down and out, they're just out. I
Right.
don't know what else to do with them, but like you know
No,
what I
I
mean.
know, I know.
But the old Belichick, like they would find a way to win. You know what
Well,
I mean?
and if you can produce, you can have bring guys like a Belichick. I think he would go to veteran players and say, "Listen, you want to win a ring? Okay, you got to be willing to A, take this for a salary, and B, listen to everything I say. Commit to me, and I will get you there." And when you can do it, people just keep coming. They're like, "I'll take less. I'll come for 2 years." And then a couple of years now is what we're seeing, where they're like, "I didn't like the guy. He's a real jerk," and it's because he's not winning.
And that's the one thing I will say, Todd. If you look at anywhere, right, it's not just about the person who's the captain. It's also about the generals, right?
Okay.
Because this is why it's so important. If the captain says something, but the generals can't get that message across to the rest of the army,
Yeah.
does it matter?
No.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you need that guy in the locker room. That's why I think Belichick has not been successful since Brady. That's why I said, who is it, Belichick or Brady? It's not that Belichick's not a great leader, but there's not anybody in that locker room that can hold up his standard.
Yeah.
Because they're around the guys. For us, the difference between us being 6 and 7, I say it every time, 6 and 7 and 11 and 3 was Brotherhood and Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Basically the same players, right?
Same players. It's the same exact players. We were better on paper the year before. Way
Yeah.
better.
Wow.
But we just had this. We
Yeah.
weren't like this. We were here. So when you're like this and you got the right guy that's not only in the front office but in the locker room, it's hard to lose. That's why I think the
Agreed.
Steelers are eventually going to win a Super Bowl, because now you got Kenny on the Steelers, but then you got Mike Tomlin, who is a player's coach.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame guy. I mean, he's incredible. I like Tomlin too. You guys NBA fans?
Yes.
All right, so we got Game 5 tonight. Heat in Denver. I mean, the fact that Miami's gotten to where they've gotten to, and they have a chance to win. I mean, long shot now. But don't you feel like they're that kind of team too? Like they
Yes.
take on their coach's personality, and they're like junkyard dogs, man. They are so.
I love those type of guys. I don't know
I do
about
too.
you, bro, but I love the junkyard dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy. I love the underdog. I don't know about you. What you think?
Yeah, of course. I'm the underdog
He said, of
all the
course.
time. So,
But so you got Pat Riley, that's the president, or I don't know what role he
Yeah.
has in Miami, but he was that way. He was that way as a player.
Right.
Then he was that way with his teams when he coached, and then Spoelstra's come up under him, and
Yeah.
he's just got they got that fight in
Grady.
him, and just they knocked Boston out, and Mark, who's a big Heat fan here, and I have been going back and forth. He's talking trash. I'm like, I'm rooting for your team. Like they are a likable team because they just fight and scrap, and I think it just comes from the top,
But it's hard to beat them Nuggets, man. 'Cause
It is.
The Joker is no joke.
I know.
He ain't no joke. That boy can pass, score,
Yeah.
play defense, whatever you want him to do. And he's built like he's a kid on the block who ain't never played hoop ever.
No, I know.
Like ever. His body type look like a lineman. He don't look like
Right.
a hooper. But he's killing it, man.
He is.
sorry, I was caught off guard when you asked me. For some reason, when you brought up like captains, I was thinking about like Captain Crunch. And so I went on like
this
is Vinny always.
What's your top 5 cereal?
Let's play this thought all the way out, Vinny. Like, who is he in charge of? Who's Captain Crunch over? Is it like Toucan Sam? Like, who's in his army?
General Mills.
General Mills. There it is. It's General Mills.
When you said Captain.
Battle Creek, Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This kid is nuts, isn't he?
That's beautiful. It's a
Captain.
beautiful
I
mind.
was just being honest because you asked me something. I forget what you asked me, and I was thinking about cereal.
Bro, you're so left field, bro. You should be Ken Griffey Jr., bro. You just legitimately every time, bro. It's like, how's your day today, Vinny? What you say? I was thinking about something completely different.
Right.
Vinny always, man. Vinny always.
Did you say, how was my day, or did you ask me about Fruit Loops? I'm quite sure. Exactly how to take it. All right, we should wrap this one up. So you guys, maybe a big guest coming up. That's incredible. Where can people find your podcast? Everywhere? I don't know why I asked that, actually. Everybody knows where to find podcasts
everywhere.
Yeah.
That's like a 2-year ago question.
It's out.
It's out.
Athletic Aesthetic on anything.
Yeah.
It was under the VC2 Art channel.
Okay.
But then when Trey came on board, I was like, let's rebrand this thing. So we switched it up to Athletic Aesthetic. So if you search that anywhere, we created an Instagram, and we've been sharing on there. But we're going to be doing a lot of stuff here with Talking Lots. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with just as much as we want to tease out something and without me saying it.
Yeah. On Team Media.
So stay tuned because you're going to be seeing as Trey says, our faces in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Ooh, you still in lingo. I like it.
I love it, man. I love it. And I appreciate that I was able to get you to come and help us a little bit with Talking Lots. And, maybe you can be on a few more or help us produce it or whatever it is. We'll see what the future holds. But this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
for sure. Down. Appreciate you, Todd. Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you guys.
I think also we should sign off. Like, we didn't really talk much about paving, so maybe for like the algorithm, just pavement.
Yes.
Say it a couple
Pavement.
times. Pavement. So the AI that's watching this can generate and populate us into other feeds in the industry.
Is that how it works?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's a problem. That's a problem. We were just saying that before we came on here. AI, it started like 2 weeks ago, and now we're like, it's too late. I missed it. What's next? What's next? So, all good. Well, you guys are awesome, man.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. We appreciate you coming on the Talking Lots podcast on the Media Network, and we're growing something special here, and it's a lot of fun. You guys are the best. See y'all next time. Thanks so much.